when I talk about like motivation, like it truly isn't enough. It's like I have the biggest motivation in my life in the sense that I know what it feels like to lose a parent. Both of my parents. I know what that felt like. And it was the worst emotion I've ever experienced in life. And I know I have a daughter now that if I don't get this under control, like I could give that same emotion to her.
Am I in the frame?
Pretty sure you are, dude.
Cool.
Am I?
Wah, 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 dun, dun, dun. It's a sick intro, right?
No.
Don't you think? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the O2B podcast.
You do have to get someone to turn exactly like your voice into, like, just go on Fiverr and just put a mic recording and be like, I need you to turn this into a theme song. Be like, blah, 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 blah.
I don't know why I've turned it. I don't know why it's turned into like dubstep. I don't know. That wasn't the plan. Yeah. Welcome to episode, I think 7, maybe 8 of the O2B podcast. I'm here with my friend Daniel.
We're friends. I think the internet thinks we're not friends.
Yeah, dude.
My phone matches my pants.
The internet, man, is a crazy place. But I'm here with Danny. We have been friends for a long time now, probably 8 years, maybe? Widowy Fwick in a long time, by the way. Holy Fwick.
No, almost 10. Like 8 or 9.
8 or 9, yeah. Because I lost weight when I was 20, and we didn't meet like right away. Because I'm 31 now, so
yeah,
8 or something years.
I started doing like social media stuff when I was 19.
19, and how old are you now?
28.
28.
It's like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah. So we've been friends for a long time. So Danny and we got connected because did you made a video? Did you mention me in the video?
So someone you did like a shout for shout out or something like that.
Oh, okay.
With someone I followed. And then I followed you.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would
shout
like
out for shout out.
And then I would like
what a throwback.
I would like comment or like DM kind of for a bit. And I started watching Brian around that time too. And then all of a sudden I saw you guys like connect and I was like, whoa, like 2 of my favorite peeps right now. And yeah. And then we just kind of connected.
Yeah.
And then I watched you guys. I was like a loyal fan. And then I was like, hey, I want to fly out to California.
Yeah.
And that was before you were like, oh, that wouldn't be a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
And
when I was still living with my mom.
And we slept in the same bed.
Yeah, we literally slept in the same bed. We only kissed a couple times.
If someone now messaged you like, hey, dude, can I come?
Oh, yeah, like, no. Yeah, that's so weird. I think maybe it's just like a...
We had talked a lot before that.
We had talked a lot, and
we were like online friends.
Yeah, and I was younger, and I think like the thought of like having a friend from Canada, Danny's from Canada, having a friend from Canada come and stay, that was like really cool. But so we've been friends for a long time, but we've had a lot of like ups and downs in our friendship, and so I think that's kind of why I thought it would. Well, it was actually Danny's idea to do the podcast. Well, it was kind of both of ours.
I mean, it was going to come eventually. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's currently a chihuahua barking like crazy. But so we're in LA right now, and so that's what we're doing. So Danny, a little bit, I guess you tell your story a little bit for people that might not know.
Yeah, so basically that 2019 era, I started my weight loss journey. I was like about 50 pounds less than I am now, actually.
Wait, 2019?
No, I was not.
You said 2019 I started my weight loss.
Oh, I thought I meant when I was like 19, 20.
Oh.
2014.
Oh, okay. I was thinking years.
2014.
When you were 19.
Yes.
Years old.
Yeah, okay. I just turned like 19. I started a new job, worked with a guy who went to the gym all the time, and was basically like, hey, you go to the gym. Make sure my mic's pointing at my face. You go to the gym. I should go to the gym. And just kind of started going, and he would like tell me what to eat. And started tracking my progress.
Before that, though, were you overweight your whole life?
Yeah, so basically like up and down. Like I would be like, my whole life it's been like that. As a kid, I was like a skinny kid, and then I got super chubby when I was like in kindergarten, and then I got skinny again, then I got chubby again, and it was like up and down. But I was always like the more chubbier kid, even when I was like skinny.
Yeah, you weren't like skinny. You were skinny for you.
Yeah. Like but I was always like picked on in school for being the fat kid, like almost every time, except when I ended up going to Christian school, which where I felt safe. But even that, like even Christian school in the earlier years, I got picked on. But then like in high school, I didn't for whatever reason. People like matured a little bit more. The younger kids would definitely like, be like that guy's a chubby dude.
I was relatively lucky that I didn't get picked on too much.
That's wild to me.
Yeah,
like, you are not a chubby kid in Canadian school and not getting picked on.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know what it was. Like, I think when I was in elementary school, I mean, I was pretty big, but I don't know. People just didn't really, or maybe I've suppressed it, which is certainly possible. Like, seriously. And then when I was in junior high, I was friends with, like, I skated, and I was friends with the skaters, and those were, like, in my junior high, those were the cool kids. Yeah. And so people just didn't mess with me, really. And then in high school, I've talked about this before, but I was, like, the funny fat guy. So I would make fun of myself a lot. So I didn't get made fun of too much. There was a couple people that would, but not too much.
I tried to do that, but I definitely was like an ADD kid, so I was also kind of annoying. So I think people put both together, and they were like, annoying kid, and he's fat, so screw that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get along socially with a lot of people during like school, but as I got older, I got way better. But yeah, anyway, so just like gradually started gaining. Got to like, I guess like 315-ish pounds. Then I started my weight loss journey, and I was seeing like consistent like 10 pounds a month like drop every month. And so I was like, oh shit, I'm like doing this. And so I did that, maintained between like 180 pounds to 220 pounds for like 6 years. And then during COVID, I got down to like 225 pounds. And then after that, just like life and stuff and whatnot, I just started like slowly gaining, came back on. And then
your lowest was when you did that show, though, right?
Yep.
That was what year was that?
2017.
27. Okay, so you got to your lowest then, and then you maintained relatively well, right?
Yeah, I was always like up or down, like up and down, like which looking back now, I totally wish I could do that still now, because like at the highest I got to was around like 220. At one point, right before Morgan got pregnant, I was like 280 or 275 or something like that. But then I got all the way back down during her pregnancy because I was like, oh, I got a baby coming, I gotta get healthy. And then then when Maple was born, then I started to put it back on again, and then like gradually over time, I've just always been up and down. But now it's been like consistently up for almost like 2 years. Most of it though was in the first year. I feel like I gained a lot of it in the first year, and then the last year I've maybe gained 20 pounds. That's because I'm just pretty big.
So what do you think, like, what do you feel has changed from like these past, I guess you could say 2 years versus when you were like kind of more yo-yoing or going up and down?
Yeah, I mean, life is totally different, right? Like back then I could be as selfish as I wanted to be, and it didn't affect anyone else. Now, obviously, my choices affect my family, right? So you got to be a bit more in tune with that. And I didn't keep that habit throughout. Like, it's like not, the habit of like getting up, going to the gym, or like eating only these certain things. Like I just kind of fell out of that habit, and then it got so out of the whack that it's like now it's really hard to get back on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just life changed, right? And then went through a lot with just like mentally. As I've gotten older, I've chatted about it on my channel before, but I had a really, similar to you actually, I've had a really rough upbringing. Both my parents were drug addicts. They passed away when I was younger, when I was a teenager. And a lot of that didn't like present itself until like I hit like 25.
Yeah, it's stuff like, it's crazy how much like, I don't want to say you, but how much I can suppress stuff.
Yeah.
Like
you're just like, I'm just gonna focus on other things. I think about my
childhood, and like people will talk about these stories from when they were like 4, and I'm like, I don't remember anything from then. Yeah. Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, so like when I was around like 24, 25, those started to present themselves a lot more, and I was like, whoa. And then because of that, I started to eat more again, and then a combination of that, and then I've worked probably the most I've ever had on my like mental health and stuff in the past year and a half. That's actually gotten way better. I'm not having like anxiety nearly as much, and not like I had a few panic attacks. I haven't had one since. But once I got that figured out, I started a new business that really took off, which I do a ton of traveling with. And so the habit of just like traveling and working and then going up with fam, and I'm just doing a lot of traveling. And so it's been like a year and a half.
You're like on the road almost constantly, right?
Yeah, between like just traveling for work, like I travel probably a minimum 2 weeks out of the month, and that is tough. Just like basically like a year and a half, I've just been like coasting.
Yeah.
And my coast is I love food, and when I travel, like I eat more than usual because
you're
traveling.
you're a foodie.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
That's something we've talked about.
Yeah.
Which I think I do want to get into later, but I do. So I want to ask about like with the traveling. So like right now you're traveling, right? And we're in an Airbnb. When you travel, most of the time, do you do an Airbnb? Do you do hotels? Like how do you?
It's a mix of both.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing an Airbnb, but I'm traveling for work, right? I don't have time to cook. Like I'm usually shooting for close to an 8-hour day, and then usually the client's paying for a meal, so we'll usually eat out. And then in the evening when I get back, it's like
tough, man.
It's like I'm not gonna buy groceries for one meal, right? So then I order, and then I just don't have the self. All right, I didn't have the self control. I'm starting to get better now. I would just pick whatever
you want,
the best,
just anything, yeah. And it's got to be tough, like especially when you have a client that's saying they want to go out. Like it's tough because you want to go. It's not just I want to go because it'll be fun, but it's like this is part of the business. Like if I just kind of like don't go, it kind of looks bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, food is just societally like a thing we do together, like communally. So yeah, a lot of the times it's like if I was just like, nah, I'm good. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, like there's always choices. There's always good choices to make.
Yeah.
It's just I haven't been making them.
Yeah.
I know that. Like
Yeah.
So I've gotten to a place now. Like when I just went and traveled with my client this last time, instead of getting like what I normally would get, I got like a lighter meal with more focus on protein and veggies. And like, there's always an option. I just have to make that choice.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy, but I'm starting to get better at it now. Now that I'm like actually like focusing on it. But it's hard just doing it like obviously like I travel for work alone, so it's like it's tough because it's like when you're alone, it's like so easy just to make a choice that no one's gonna see.
Yep, and that's it's crazy how because we were talking about this I think yesterday because we went and got food. We went and bought food at a grocery store, and you were saying how like you notice that when you're traveling like with somebody, it's easier for you to eat cleaner, better, whatever word you want to use. But then when you're alone, it's easier to eat bad, quote unquote, bad food. And it's interesting because I'm similar. Like as far as like if I'm going to eat something that's not maybe the best, I don't like to do it around people. And I don't know if it's the same, but like I think for me, I don't like to do it around people because people always have something to say, and they're like, "Oh, you're eating that," and it's just like I don't need to hear it,
Yeah. That's surprising to me, like. Because for me, it's like, this is going to sound bad, but it's just the mindset you get. Like, I remember when I had lost the weight, I would see other big people, like, in a restaurant eating, like, a shitty meal and be like, damn, dude, like, and I would so judge.
Yeah.
Like, I just wouldn't. Like, it's not, I'm not happy to say that, but I just, your mind is just like, oh, like, I can do it, then that person just doesn't know. Like, it's the most dumbest, like, ego thing to think about.
Dude,
but now I'm that guy.
Yeah.
So, like, when I'm at a restaurant,
and then you
like,
see
I never go in. Okay, so we can get into this too quickly, but like, some of the things you don't think, like I've never been this heavy. This is the heaviest I've ever been.
Yeah.
Before when I was heavy, like it impacted my life a little bit, but I was young, so like you just don't notice shit. Yeah. Now I notice shit.
Yeah.
And two, like I'm at the point where I hold all my weight in my stomach, so like I notice the things. And one of the things is if I go to a restaurant like and the booths don't move, I legit like I'm like, all right, like I've people have been like, oh yeah, we're gonna sit here, and I'm like,
no, we're not.
Nope. and like at first, I was super like shameful, like for me, but then I was like, it just is what it is, like like what am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
and like, other than of course lose the weight, but in the moment, I'm like, hey, yeah, like I just can't sit here.
And if you're with friends that care about you, they're not gonna be like, oh my, they're just gonna be like, oh okay,
yeah. But people I haven't like known, like they just don't even think about that.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'll like go up and like go jiggle the table. I'm like, yeah, I can't sit here. Or else I'll be uncomfortable. Yeah. But yeah, so like, things like that, like now for eating back to eating in like public, like I don't want someone else to see like me as a big guy, like scorfing down like a cheeseburger. Cause it's like, no wonder that guy's fat. Like, like that's the thought that goes in my mind now. It's like, I don't give a shit what people would say. Like you're going to eat, like I would care less, but it's like seeing me as a bigger dude eat. It's like I shouldn't be doing like in a way. It's like I shouldn't be doing this. Like, but I am. But it's so it's a weird mindset shift for sure.
Yeah.
I'd get used to certain things, and we talked about it a bit, like, you know, just like things just you take for granted, like as being like a healthier bodied person, like you're like, oh, this is so easy, and then like you get heavy, you're like we just went for a walk to get coffee, and my back was killing me.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just before I would walk, not even think twice about, and you probably don't. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I remember when, like, I still feel like so grateful every time today I went on a run, right? Every time I'm on a run, I'm so thankful because I think I'll always remember how hard it felt to run when I was at my heaviest.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't run. You know what I mean? I couldn't do a 400 meter lap around a track.
Yeah.
Not a single one, like running the whole time. I couldn't do it, right? And so, but yeah, I definitely, like, to be fair, like I don't remember what it's like to, like, yeah, go on a walk and just like your back be kind of hurting.
Yeah. I didn't either until the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I said, like I feel like it's just a wholly different time. Like you being overweight as like a younger person, it's like you kind of just are like, oh, life's fine. Like I'm big, but like I can still do everything everyone else can do for the most part. I remember there was times when like we would go on a hike and I'd be like, oh, I can't do that. But like not a lot of people can hike. You know, hikings are hard.
Yeah.
So like, but now it's like, let's go for a walk to a 10-minute walk. I'm like, oh man, really? Like, not that I don't want to, but that I know I'm going to be in pain.
You know it's going to hurt,
like,
and that's just not fun.
Yeah. And like you saw, like on the way there, it was pretty well fine on the way back. Like because I'm in hurting, like I'm focused on like
just getting
trying
done.
to push through it. And so I just get kind of like a grumpy.
Yeah, he gets grumpy and quiet, which if Danny's quiet, something's going on.
I could sense you were kind of like, what's happening right now? And I was like, dude, I'm in a lot of pain. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, but these are all factors that really, like, this is like the most frustrating thing for me. And I think it even is worsened by the fact that I am like a very heavy, like, and you talk about this all the time too, like ADD, like my brain's going 100 miles a minute. So most of the time when I'm making a bad decision, say I'm like going to get fast food or whatever, like all of the reasons why I shouldn't do it are not present.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like they're not present. Like if I just took some time to like, it's like they don't exist. Like the fact, my back hurting, being there for my family, knowing that like people in business would respect me more. That's just a fact. Like you can say
these are all things that would improve if you lost weight. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. These are all things that would improve when I lost weight. And in the moment that I think about food, they disappear. And like I would have to sit and like focus very like hardly. On
hardly.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Focus very hard on
bigly
on like allowing them to affect my decision.
Yeah.
And that's so annoying because like when I am thinking about them, of course I'm not like getting food or anything, but like it's enough that it really probably would change something. But like in the moment, they're just not present. Like,
have you like sat down and really tried to think about what if, or maybe there isn't like a singular reason, but like what are some of the reasons why you feel like you were able to be, you know, pretty successful for so like a good amount of years, right? And then these past 2 years, like we've had a conversation where you're like, I just feel like I can't get back to what I was doing before. Yeah. Like, is there anything that you can point to that you feel like has contributed to that at all?
Yeah. That's the thing, dude. Is like in the person I am, like I know it's mostly excuses, but like I don't know. Like I've tried, like I literally went back and like watched some old videos that I'd posted just to see like, okay, what was I doing? Like what kind of meals was I eating? What was I like? How much was I working out? What was I doing? Just to like try and like reenact what I used to do. And it's like before when I would eat like 1,800 calories, it's like the majority of what and I would always go over and under and blah, blah, blah. But in my mind, my goal was always 1,800 calories a day when I was like losing. And so I would eat like 1,500 calories of like whatever throughout the day. And then like to end the day, I would always have like a big like egg white, veggie, turkey, like light cheese scramble. Okay. And that's how I would hit my like protein for the day. And I did that regularly, like, all the time. Like I'd be like, okay, I just know that like at the end of the day, this is what my meal's gonna be, and I eat that and I'll be fine. Now like I just can't like force myself to do that. Like, and I've tried doing it and then just been like the next day like a craving comes or something, or I get busy with doing something, and then I just make I just don't have the ability to just live every day like I can plan every section and every point of every time of every day, before I could. So it was super easy to fit that lifestyle and those choices into a schedule where like your brain's focused on it and there's not a lot of things going on, right? I feel like now I have so much going on with family and work and all that kind of stuff that it's like, it's just a second thought. It's now like so much far a second thought.
Dude, what you're saying right now is so true. And I think this is when like people talk about, oh, it used to be so much easier when I was younger. I think a lot of people will attribute that to being like, your just metabolism is faster or, which part of it is true. Like things are a little bit easier, but I think a big part that people forget about is your life changes so much as you get older, right? Like when you're in your early 20s, you might have responsibilities, but compared to having a kid and like having to make money to support them, there's not that many, right? So you're able to like really focus on the things that you're doing every day, and like every day you can have the same breakfast or whatever it might be, right? And that's just easy. You don't even have to think about it, right? But then once you have these more responsibilities, or you're not working at the same job every day and you're out and about, it makes it so much harder.
Yeah. It's funny too, because I used to definitely take that for granted. Like people will comment like, oh yeah, like, I mean, this is your life. That must be easy. I'm like, well, no, like you can still do it. It's like, you get older, you mature, you're like, oh, maybe they had a point.
Yeah, no.
And honestly, like, and we talked about this a bit yesterday, and I was going to bring it up. Like, I was trying to kind of talk to you about how rare you realize that you are, like in this space. Like, the majority of people who have lost weight in the like influencer space eventually have like disappeared, gained weight back, and a lot of it has to do with like that process of like growing up. Like you get to go back to life, you start to like gain stuff back, or I've noticed like people who are not necessarily influencers, but like past clients of mine and stuff, that I've like noticed, like sometimes when you put a lot of your emphasis in like, oh, I want to like be healthy again, it has an impact in your relationship. Yeah. Obviously not gonna say any names. I don't want to like certain people, but like there's a real
just dox your former clients. So Stephanie,
I'm speaking to the world here, not just my clients, but just people people who follow us. Like, just you notice that like.
So I do want to say, Danny's been saying clients. He used to do weight loss coaching for a very long time. For many years, he had a lot of clients. So that's what he's talking about when he's saying that, just in case people didn't know.
Yeah, and so like not just them, but also just people who follow you in general. Like I just feel like putting that much emphasis into your own health, that should be a thing that you can do, and hopefully your partner supports that. But isn't always the case. Man, yeah. And sometimes it has an impact on like
not even sometimes. I would say almost always. Yeah. Like especially when you're talking about someone that is significantly overweight, right? I've said this before, but like someone who is in a relationship with someone who is significantly overweight, if they're not significantly overweight themselves, that doesn't mean that they're not living the same lifestyle, right? And so they've gotten used to the foods that person eats, the exercise that person does or does not do,
the time and like, that person is available.
Yeah, and so if they're in that relationship, they might not be 200 pounds overweight, but they're still living the same lifestyle. And when you want to make that huge change, that's going to be a huge change to your lifestyle. It's very common in like the bariatric surgery community, right? A lot of times when people get bariatric surgeries, there's a huge divorce rate because of, the lifestyle changes that are necessary.
Yeah. And I just want to obviously say that like, one, I understand a lot of what I'm saying are in reality excuses, but I'm just saying they're my reality. Yeah. And then two, like, this of course doesn't apply to everyone. There's probably someone watching that's like, no, my relationships have improved. That's great. But for a large majority, it has a not so positive effect. And it's just tough, like, to not only that, but like then you when I do look back on the things that did work and how they don't, like, that's super confusing. Because it's like, why is this not like everything I know about tracking calories and like what foods to eat, what exercises to do, how much effort I should put in.
Like you could, like right now, you could help someone lose weight,
dude. Funny story. I have a friend of mine who is a very athletic, jacked looking dude, just naturally. So like he's never really put.
Yeah, my name's John.
Nope. He was like he was like an
all.
all-star running back before he got like injured, like just natural born athlete.
Yeah.
And he goes to the gym a lot, but his knowledge is actually super low. He just like he goes, puts in a lot of effort, and that with his like genetics alone just make him this like really big looking dude. And we were working out in the gym, and I just like naturally, just us working out together, I was like, hey, like you should try this. Then he'd be like, oh dude, I feel that way more. Sweet, thanks. And I would give him tips, and like then he started asking more, and he was like, oh, like what should I do here? Like just because he's like, I want to get the most out of this. He just never thought like that mattered before.
Yeah.
So I was giving him tips, giving him stuff. This other guy comes up and he's like, hey, you're so big, dude. Like what should I do? What's your like tips? And he pointed at me, and this is like what I kind of look like now.
Yeah.
He was like, ask that dude. He's taught me almost like everything I've learned in the last like little bit. And the dude looked at me like, what, dude? Like he like legit like snickered. He was like, no, like what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? And he was like, no, I'm serious. And he was like, oh, okay. Like he literally like he didn't know how to.
Yeah, I mean.
He was like, there's no how to what?
Yeah.
And I just said, yeah. I used to train people for like many years, and I've been around some like the most knowledge. I'm friends with Jeff Nippard, Patty Lifts and all them. Like I've been around some of the most knowledgeable people in the industry. What?
Obesity.
Who are you? No, but like yeah, you too.
Yeah.
I've been you didn't really care about like the technical stuff back in the day.
No,
that's something.
I still
That's something
don't really
newer.
care that much.
That's something newer though for you.
I still don't really care that much about like getting like specific angles of like work. I don't really care that much.
Yeah. But yeah, so like just having that person be like, "What?"
Yeah.
That's something you have the knowledge, but fitness is definitely one of those things that like look is 90% of like what people are going to do to like trust you.
One thing that I definitely wanted to talk about is being in the public eye, because you obviously you have all these things still. You just don't really post very much, right? But you had YouTube channel that you posted about your weight loss, and you had a weight loss YouTube channel, I guess you could call it, right?
Yep.
Instagram, any social media, right? You were DannyGetsFit. You were the person that lost weight. What was it like going from, the show weight Danny to where you are now? Like, how has that been?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really do it anymore.
Yeah, I know.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Which it sucks because I do really like it. Like, I do enjoy connecting with the people that have been supporting me for years, and like I still have a lot of people I connect with and like chat with once in a while. But it just was doing more harm than it was good.
What do you mean by that? What do you say that?
I mean, like, it's not so bad anymore. If I post now, it's very mainly positive. There's still a little bit negative, but there was a time when like it was a mix of like me gaining weight, but then also not having my ego in check at the time. And and this is partially why our relationship was so up and down at that time.
Yeah, me and Danny have had we've had some bumps in the road for sure. And there's been like, which I do want to get into, but like certain things that you did, but there's also certain things that I did as well. Like it's not all you for sure. But
yeah, so like I would be gaining a little bit of weight, and then people would be like, how can you do this? And I would just like argue with them back, and that made it just so it happened more. And then people were like, this guy just thinks he knows everything, and like, so let's just do it more. And it just became like a bigger issue. And so that was tough, but then I got over that. But then like when it started to become a thing that didn't just affect me, but affected my family, that's when we collectively kind of decided, I think we're good on this. It's different when like people talk about you, but when people start talking about your 1-year-old daughter, it's like, nah, I'm good. Like, especially when I wasn't making like it wasn't my main source of income anymore. Like I transitioned to a business, and I've been loving that. Then it was just like, now I do it. When I do it, now it's for fun, just for like connecting with people, and like, if I can still inspire one other person out there that that they shouldn't quit, and no matter how many people say that, like, oh, you always say you're going to do it. Like, yeah, well, if I don't say it, then it means I just have accepted not ever trying. So it's like, I'm going to do that. And that was the biggest thing. But the second biggest thing that was tough was looking back now at some of the times when people were like, you got fat again. And looking at where I was and how I truly believed, because so many people were telling me I was fat.
You just like, screw it.
That I was, like, at that time.
Okay.
And now I look back and I'm like, dude, like, it's insane to me that, like, I was 175 pounds. People saw me that you put a little weight in your face and you're 185 pounds. People were like, oh, you got fat again.
Yeah.
And I truly believed that. Like, I truly, at 185 pounds, go back and look at pictures of me then, I was, like, fit. Like, arms were, like, cut up. Like, I could run, I could do whatever I wanted. And people were like, no, because you gained a little weight, you're fat again. Like, you need to tighten up or, like, do. And it was so often that I legit thought that. And now looking back, I'm like, that's insane, dude. Like, even at like 225, like I still believe like at 225 I can do everything I want to do.
Yeah.
I can live a healthy life at that weight. Even though to like someone,
I mean, that's how much I weigh basically.
But to someone that's not like, you know, seeing you all the time, like they'll be like, oh, you're overweight. It's like, no, I was completely healthy.
Yeah.
Now I'm not. You know, like I would love to be at a place where I feel healthy. I can do things. I can live life in a healthy lifestyle. And I was that, and people were telling me like, you're too fat.
Yeah.
Like, and not just some people, like a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
it was pretty insane. Like,
and that happens with majority.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, what was it like noticing that shift, right? Because for a long time, you had just people supporting you, like, oh, you know, you look great, you've lost all this weight, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And then things started to shift, obviously. Like, what happened in your brain, you know, like when you started to notice that? Like,
I mean, you go through like stages of denial, basically. You're like, at first you're like, screw you, like, you know, whatever, like it's nothing. Then you're like, oh yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. And then you get to the point where you're like, oh, maybe they're right. You know, like you go through the stages until you're like acceptance. You're like, okay, I guess, yeah, I gotta do better.
Yeah.
And then you get in your own head, and then like you push yourself more, which it makes it even worse.
Do you think that being on social media, like, especially where you are now, do you feel like it's been a net positive, a net negative, or kind of like baseline?
No, I think it has been a net positive, just because the reality is you have 10,000 people liking your stuff. Back then I did. Not now.
Yeah.
You know, you have 10,000 people liking your stuff. You have 200 people commenting. So 200 out of 10,000, and then you maybe have 50 of those that are
It's so hard not to focus
negative.
on those ones, man.
Well, the bullshit ass thing, and people who are more positive do better, is all the negative stuff gets the most likes. So it gets forced to the top.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been like that. Like, if you go to any post on Instagram now to do with anything that you could, like, easily pick something out of, you're going to find the top comment is always negative. Always.
Yeah.
Unless they've deleted. And I will guarantee you that a majority of the time, if the top comments are all positive, that person is blocked and deleted a shit ton of people. Because it just, I don't know what it is. People will comment, like, do good, and then peace out. But then the people who are negative will, like, be like, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, hell yeah. And that person who's commented that negative thing gets 200 likes, and they're like, I'm the top G, bruh. Like, I'm that guy or that lady or that whoever.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm going to do this more because I like the gratification I got.
Yeah.
And then it just, like, spirals. It's so crazy to me how that's, like, still a thing, you know? I don't know. It's just, it always frustrated me so much. I'm like, I know I have, like, 200 comments that are positive, but then there's the one comment that's negative, or the 5, but then there's like 500 likes on that negative comment. You know, it's like people who are like don't even take time to comment themselves, but then they're like,
yeah, yeah. I think like humans, I think we definitely focus on the negative 100%, and I feel like even if it's not about you, right? So you see that negative comment, and you're like, I agree with that. You want to like it, you know?
Yeah, I've never understood that mindset. There's not one time I've thought something negative and I want it publicly to be out there. Like, you know, like I'll come across something and I'll be like, oh yeah. And then I'll just move on. Like I'll think about it for a second and then I'll go to the next thing and be like, this is funny.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, this is a weird thing. Like, you know, I've never thought that I needed to like project that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's interesting because like your story, right? And along with other people, but yours is the one that I think of like when I talk about, because I'll have so many people messaging me being like, oh, I started a YouTube channel or a Instagram because I want to lose weight and inspire people. And I'm always just like, maybe pump the brakes. Yeah. Not because I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but I've always said, right, losing weight is something that's incredibly difficult, right? And then obviously keeping it off. But then at the added stress of expectations that maybe they're not there, but we put on ourselves because of the following, right? Mm-hmm. It just adds so much stress that I feel a lot of times it's just unnecessary. What do you think about that? Like when I say
no, I totally agree. Mainly because, so like I said, like when it was me, I had like the little bit of an ego to go with it. Not even a little bit. I had an ego to go with it. So it's like I kind of understood like, oh, okay, maybe that's why. But I've now seen that completely not be a thing, and that kind of lost my hope on it. Because I follow this one guy on TikTok. I can't remember his name, but he basically has like a pink or purple turnip as his like thing. He's like this like British guy who's like breakfast, and he's like, this is what I'm eating. And for a while he was documenting his weight loss. And I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. I want to support. Like he seems super funny and like and super humble and like just a nice guy. And so I followed him. He lost a bunch of weight, and then he did gain some back. And now you go to all of his comments now, and it's all just garbage.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh no, this is just what happens.
Yeah,
like,
it is. It is what
like
happens,
if you're gonna do it, and if you're gonna gain the weight back, you're either gonna be like, screw this, and you're gonna be way worse off than you were, because now mentally that's a really hard thing to deal with, especially if you're not like in the public eye regularly. And then, or you're gonna keep doing it and have to just deal with that, you know? So it's like...
It's tough, man. Yeah, I'm always like, I don't want to tell people what to do, and I feel like it is very hypocritical for me to say, because that's literally what I did and what I do. But I'm just like, it's not like I'm like trying to make it so I don't have any competition or anything. I don't care about that.
Name one other, like... Or I mean, there's... I think I can think
there's
of
a few.
You know, Poro. And then what's his name? He just got skin surgery too.
I don't know.
There's a few guys that have done it like you have, but like it out of the hundreds, it's probably like 10 and under.
Yeah, and
that
like
have
so speaking,
and what I said, like I said earlier too, is like why I think you're so like specific is like usually once people start to get into that normal life phase where they like have a relationship, where they start a family, things change, they disappear, or like, you know, the fact that you've maintained a relationship, long distance traveled and stuff, and still, you know, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that you guys are both very on the same page.
Yeah. Amanda, she's if you've watched the podcast, she's also lost a lot of weight, so we have very similar eating kind of habits, styles, and stuff. So it definitely makes it easier for sure. But speaking of what you were just talking about, like the whole like being like, you know, special or rare or whatever, there's not that many people. There's definitely a time where I felt that way, and I felt better than other people. And that's when our relationship wasn't the best. Because it was when like you were, I think, first initially starting to kind of gain weight, and our relationship wasn't the best because, like you said, you were kind of, I think you were in the midst of like, I know what I'm talking about. I'm like, you know, like I am the smart guy that has all the answers. And I think like that was when our relationship was the most strained, because I was just a dick, really. It's like, that's the best way to put it. Like I was very, just in general, I feel like I definitely had this air of superiority. Like I felt like I was better than other people because I'd been able to keep the weight off, you know? And there was a time where I remember I was doing a Q&A and someone asked me about you gaining weight, right? And then I answered the question, like this is an Instagram Q&A, and I didn't even remember. I was like, oh, I don't know, like something just that was like just so unnecessary, you know? And I don't know, I think about that all the time, and I feel like over the years I've become more, like I've gained maybe more empathy is the right word, I don't really know, but and I've realized how difficult it really is to keep the weight off and like lose it, you know, and on top of it, to be in the public eye and deal with that. Like I literally couldn't even imagine. Like I really can't, because I've dealt with some people being like kind of mean, and it ruins my day. you know? And I've never dealt with anything near as much as like you or other people have dealt with, you know?
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, no, it was a difficult time for sure. But you know, it contributed to the fact that like eventually we just decided that like, yeah, it's just not something we're gonna do for life. You know? It's not something we want for. I mean, the majority was like having Maple. Like we were like, we don't want her life to be like
Online.
documented.
Yeah.
Like, and one, she doesn't have a say in it. Two, then like all these people are just gonna like carry forward onto like, oh well, now we'll just, you know, it already started, and we were just like, no, hell no. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think documenting privately to, you know, or whatever you want to do is really your choice, but just know that it is gonna come with a negative sphere if you start to gain. It just is.
Yeah.
Like I've seen, like I said, I thought it was because maybe it was just me, but if you look at almost any single person who's ever documented weight loss, gained a following, started to gain it back, it's just people suck, dude. Like,
I do think the one thing that does help a little is being honest from the start about it.
yeah, I don't know.
Because I feel like that, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think there's any way to completely avoid it, for sure.
Yeah, that, and then I don't know if I agree with the fact that like you're dealing with like your shit. Like if you're gaining weight, there's something you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
And
So
you're
then
not-
you're obligated.
Unaware. You're not unaware that you're
Yeah,
gaining weight
and now
too.
you're obligated to like basically disclose the things you're dealing with, and then
Especially
to only
like-
get met with people who are going to be like, so
Well, especially if you make
Like-
it your life, right? So, like, say if
Yeah.
you become a coach, right, or you become an influencer, and all your sponsors are based on supplements and weight loss things, right? Like
That was me.
you have this like literal obligation to maybe clients, to companies, to where it's just so much added stress, man. It's so much added stress. That's why I'm always just. There's nothing wrong with documenting it, but just understand that there's a lot of extra that
yeah,
you're
no, like
putting into it.
Like I said, if you were going to make your choice, do you, but just know that's going to be part of it.
One thing that
Not everyone's built for that.
yeah, kind of switching gears, I do want to talk about this because this is something we've talked about that I feel like is very interesting between us. So we're very different when it comes to food and like our enjoyment of food. So
Yeah.
like you would consider yourself a foodie, right?
100%. Yeah.
So like what does that mean for you?
I mean, I grew up watching like the Food Network. Like, I want to go when I travel. Sometimes people travel to see like sights. Some people travel to like eat new food, and that's, you know, or both. But
Yeah.
like when I'm traveling somewhere and I haven't been there yet, like one of my things is like, okay, where am I going to eat? I'm like researching where the best restaurants are, you know. And a lot of the people I've met through like my business and stuff, like that's similar. Like, you know, a lot of people enjoy. You know, the difference is though they're eating that one meal and then like that's it. You know, I'm going back to my hotel room and still like ordering DoorDash.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate the culture. I mean, one of the coolest ways for me to discover more about people's culture is through food. You know, that's one of the things I love is like meeting new people and discovering different cultures and learning, you know, new things through food, and also just the community aspect of it, you know, and some of the most amazing food I've ever ate, you know. It's like there's definitely a gratification and like a very high enjoyment out of doing that.
Yeah, for me, it's just, I don't know. I don't really think about it that much. Which might sound crazy to some people, but even when I was bigger though, I wouldn't have considered myself a foodie really at all. Like I would go to McDonald's and get the same thing pretty often, you know? I would go to the taco shop, get the same thing pretty often.
Yeah,
And then the food I would eat at home would be the same pretty often. Like,
it's very difficult for me to eat the same thing every day. Like,
yeah, literally.
even when I eat like crap and I'm like eating fast food, like one day I'll do Burger King and then the next day I'll do like something different, and then the next day I'll do something different. Or I'll go through like 2 days, then I'll get over it.
Have there been any like kind of like holdovers or things that you just still don't do that you like kind of picked up while you were losing weight? Like
I don't drink calories.
So okay, so that's one.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I mean, I have not never.
Yeah.
But
In general.
it's never my first choice.
Yeah. So you'll usually get like a diet soda if they have the option and stuff like that.
Yeah. And anywhere I can cut out calories where I don't notice the flavor difference. Yeah. I'll do that. I always focus on protein, like even if I'm eating out. Like if like I'm not like I definitely love fries. The majority of the time,
French fries are my favorite.
Majority of the time, if I'm eating out, like I won't do a meal. I'll get a cheeseburger and like a chicken burger and like some nuggets, or like I'll get a bunch of meat based things. Protein.
It just yeah. There was an inside joke that we had when we were growing up. And Danny would always, whenever he would go out to eat, even then, this is before he was gaining weight, he would always just talk about how much protein was in the thing, but it would be like a pizza or something. He'd get extra pepperoni or something. Gotta get that extra protein on there. Oh my gosh. That's gonna be something I remember for the rest of my life.
The joke started because Dylan, Evo Fit.
Oh yeah.
I had like protein left in my macros, and I was like, oh, if I get like a 6-inch sub, and I'll just double the meat. And he was like, bro, what? He was like, dude, what? I was like, yeah, get the protein in it. He's like, okay. And he like, and then the accent started like, get that protein. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, so funny.
Protein. That was good.
Yeah.
Man.
So.
Shout out to Evo.
Yeah. Shout out to Dylan. Is there anything that like you feel that you've like learned about yourself, or maybe even about others, like, you know, maybe former clients that maybe you didn't understand, that now you're understanding a little bit more through the journey that you've been on? Oh yeah, dude. Like back when, like, we talked about this the other day. Like, it's so frustrating. Like when I was younger, if I like ate good for a few days, like I would see a change of like 5 to 10 pounds in my weight. And now like I was on for like a whole week 2 weeks ago, and I dropped like 2 pounds, and I was like, how is that possible? Like, I am this size. Because 2 pounds is not bad.
Yeah, I know, but like, I almost like want to see that big drop just to like get myself going.
Camera died, but we're back. So what were you saying?
I remember what I ended on.
We were talking about like things that you've learned and like.
I ended on like losing 5-10 pounds. But yeah, so now I can be on track for like a whole week and like only drop 2 pounds, and that's so frustrating because like I want to see that like drop to kind of like get myself amped up. And I remember when I used to coach people, they'd be like, oh, I did really well this week. I'm only down like a pound or 2, and I'm like, how? That's not possible. Like, isn't, you know, like everyone's like, if you truly ate calories and the more I'm noticing that in my own life, I'm now like, oh, maybe there's some other stuff at play. I don't know, but just because like what used to work just isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, you just didn't actually track. It's like, no. I've done this before. I tracked like all of my shit for a whole week and saw like a little drop, which is, like I said, 2 pounds is still great. But for my size, it's like, it's not that great.
Yeah, it feels like a drop in the bucket, kind of.
Yeah.
Do you think that...
So I noticed stuff like that for sure.
So if you... Say you do decide that you want to start losing weight, right? And you want to like get like pretty serious, right? You're like, I'm going to like really dedicate. Have you thought about like what the first steps would be? Like,
I mean, I've been doing that.
Yeah. So what does that look like?
Like going grocery shopping, getting new groceries, getting in the gym, but it just lasts like a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be like you'll be like a week on, and then what, like 2 weeks off, where you're kind of just.
Yeah. It's just like it's like fight. It really is. Like, this is the closest. I used to always like go against the whole people who are like, oh, food's an addiction, but like this is the closest I've been to being like, oh, like I'm definitely addicted to something.
Yeah.
Because like it feels like I'm having to curl up in my bed and be like, just stay home, don't get out, and go eat something you shouldn't, like, because like there's been times where I have had a good day, and then towards the end of the day I have a craving, and I'm trying my best to fight it off, and I've opened DoorDash, filled a cart 4 or 5 times before like finally just being like, fuck it, order it, then get it, eat it all, and then be like, fuck, dude, like, why?
Yeah.
And like, in that moment, like, there was nothing else I could do. Like, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So like that, that's something. It's not like a normal behavior.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, yeah, I just think I've built up my food addiction again. And it's been very difficult to like change. And then we talked about before, like when I had lost weight in the past, like it had always been with medication, like Adderall or Ritalin or whatever I was taking at the time when I was a kid. And I didn't notice that until like I got older, and I was like, oh shit, like I've always had some sort of help. So it's like now without that, it feels impossible. And that was, you know, not because of that. Now it feels impossible. It's like it felt impossible, then I realized, you know, which then it's just, then yeah, it does bring a little bit of doubt. You're like, can I actually do this on my own? You know?
Yeah. Do you think you can?
I mean, I keep trying.
Yeah.
Like I keep trying. Like I said, like everyone gives me shit when I come back on. I'm like, I truly feel that energy for like a day or two.
Yeah.
Or
no,
three.
I trust me.
Like,
I
this is it.
completely
This is it.
I
I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm doing well. Like I'll give myself a few days before I even announce or do anything. And then I'm like, okay, I wanna add some accountability and some like positive energy. So I'm gonna put it out there. And then like 2 days go by, and then I like eat some bullshit. And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like here we go again. Like, San Andreas meme.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Do you feel like, so when you do have, like, you're doing well for a little bit, and then you have, you know, I don't want to call it a relapse, but you eat something that maybe you shouldn't, right? Is it just like your mind just goes straight to be like, I can't do it, like this won't work, you know? Because like something that I talk a lot about, right? Where like I'm talking about like trying to help people lose weight. I think one thing that's can help is being good at moving on. You know what I mean? Not focusing on like, okay, I messed up, whatever. It is what it is. Let's move on. Like, is it really hard for you to say you do well for a few days and then you have this off track day or meal to then just be like, I'm going to get right back on? Does that feel like super just like not possible in the moment? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't really think about getting, because like when I do go off, it's not like, oh, you overate 500 calories. You know, it's like, oh, I just overate like 1,500 calories. And so it's not like, oh, well, you know, I'll just get back. It's like today's gone.
Yeah.
You know, so like today was a write-off. And so it's like, it's not a restart. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to restart tomorrow. So then I'm like, oh, but if I'm going to restart tomorrow, then I'm not going to be able to have pizza for like a month. So I should probably order pizza. And then I'll like, or I'll do it.
So you're very good at like rationalizing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And I know I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, like
in the moment, it's like,
I honestly like,
this makes
I
sense.
know speaking like all the things that in my head, I'm like, this is what I'm going through. And I speak out loud. I know it sounds like bullshit excuses, like just get it again. But like, I can't explain how real and detrimental it feels. It's impossible unless you are experiencing it. Like, unless you know exactly what, like, like connect with that. Like people who are like, how do you not just like, you'll never understand.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know how to explain it because I thought I had passed it. Like I said, I was basically you for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, not only gained it back, but now I'm gained it back plus 50 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I never thought, and I used to think I would never be this again, ever. And here I am.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like, I think we're starting to reach a point where we're discovering more and more about obesity. But I think there is going to be a point where there is some reason why it obviously is just more difficult for others than it is for some.
Yeah.
You know, and it's weird to me that people are fighting back against that. Like,
so what do you mean by that?
Like that they don't want that to be we found a medication that obviously helps people. But
the GLP ones, like the Ozempic and stuff like that.
But what about this? Like, what, dude? Yeah.
No,
how are you going to talk about the most like biggest problem in the world for death rates? Like obesity creates heart disease, creates blah blah blah. Like, how are you going to be like, oh, we need to fix this? Then a fix comes along that it has a possible few side effects, but for a certain individual can help.
Yeah.
And then be like against it. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You know?
I think people, they have this thought of like, because I think for a lot, especially in the Western world, weight loss is definitely very much so tied to morality, right? And so to lose weight is the moral thing to do. and I think a lot of people want to be moral. And so I think they see any outside help, right, whether that's medication or weight loss surgery, as a moral failure, right? And so I think that people, they see it through that lens, and so they feel like people are cheating, right? Because it's bad, right? You're cheating. And there was definitely a time, we've talked about this before, but where I felt this air of superiority by doing it naturally. You know what I'm saying? Doing it naturally, losing the weight without having any of that help. But now I'm at the point where, especially like honestly, like being your friend and like seeing everything that you've gone through, but then just in general, like just I've been doing this for 10 years now. I am more open definitely to outside help, because there's so many people that are struggling from this. And then if we look at you, you were someone that lost literally all the weight and kept it off for years.
Has all the knowledge.
Yeah, has all the knowledge. Literally helped probably hundreds, maybe thousands, if you talk about like people that watched your videos lose weight, that is struggling, right? And so like, it just makes sense for me, someone like in your position, to try anything that could help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it is one of the bigger mental struggles. Like watching when people talk about weight loss and they're like, here's the most common like factors of people who like struggle to lose weight. And then they list all the factors, and I'm like, I check every one of those. Like,
what do you mean by that?
Like when they're like, oh, the people who lose weight and keep it off, they have nutritional knowledge.
Oh, okay.
Have that.
Yeah.
They stay consistently active. I did that. They know how to make more good choices than bad. I did that for years. Like I did all these things for years. So when they started listing all this stuff off, I'm like, yep, did all that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else. I'm like, what happened? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's disheartening, because it's like I said, like you combine the fact that like I knew all that I needed to know, I did all the stuff, and then just now it's come back, and then like now all that stuff I know, I can't seem to use. You know, like it feels like there's a block. Like I don't know, it's so difficult. And then like we talked about it before too, and I talked about it on videos, but like I realized that like I said, I was always on medication. So I tried. I was like, oh, I'll go back on Adderall or Vyvanse. I was on Vyvanse. I went back on Vyvanse, and I just don't like the person I am. Like part of my ego back in the day came from the fact that I was hyped up on Adderall, you know, and like so focused on like knowledge and like learning everything and like telling everyone and like, and I get all my enthusiasm and like, you know, character kind of go to the side. Now I'm just this like guy who's just like an asshole. So I don't like that. And so I don't want to take that. And so now I don't want to take that because I don't like how it makes me feel, but then I can't lose weight. You know, so I don't know. I'm still like in my heart, I'm like, I'm going to never stop trying. But if it gets to the point where like it's not happening, I'm going to die, which is a real life thought, you know, like I'm getting to the point where I'm at the weight that like is impacting my health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary, yeah.
And,
one of the when I talk about like motivation, like it truly isn't enough. It's like I have the biggest motivation in my life, in the sense that I know what it feels like to lose a parent, both of my parents. I know what that felt like, and it was the worst emotion I've ever experienced in life. And I know I have a daughter now that if I don't get this under control, like I could give that same emotion to her.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
And like that's not enough. How is that not enough?
Yeah.
How is like that thought? Right. I went 2 weeks straight of writing that down every morning. Like, if you don't get this in check, like you could die, and give your daughter like that feeling.
Yeah.
And that, like the worst emotion I've ever experienced, the possibility of giving that to my family, is not enough for me to like just not fucking eat something bad. Like,
and it's like when like hearing that, right? And when people just they just say LOL, eat less. You know, it's just so frustrating to me, because it's like how is that going to help? You know, like how is that going to clearly that's not the only answer. Like that's not the thing that's going to be like, here you go. Yep, just eat less. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good now. You know, like there's so much more that goes into it, and there's so much like when it comes to food and stuff, especially like when we're talking about like the addiction, feeling like you're addicted. Like there's so much that goes into that, and why you would make that decision that in your head maybe isn't the quote unquote the best decision, but you still make it. Right? There's something there. Right? Yeah. There's something there more than just, I just like food a little bit more than other people. Like,
yeah. No, it's oh, man, like that's one thing that like has led me to tears like multiple times. It's just like, I don't want to do that to my family, man. Like, but if I don't change, like that's,
But I mean, for some solace, right? Like what you've said this whole time we've been talking is like you're still trying. And that's all that you can do, right? Like I think that there's things that you can reflect on to maybe try and, if you made this mistake, maybe I do this instead, right? Or whatever, right? And then there are other options, right? There are the GLP-1 medications. There is, maybe bariatric surgery. I don't know, right? That's the decision you can make for yourself. But like there are these other options, and I think that I know that like it might feel like you've tried everything, right? Because you've tried a lot, let's be real, right? But like I am someone that does believe that everyone can be successful. It just might look different for each person, right? And even for you, it might look different than it did 6 years ago, 7 years ago, right? Mm. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible, And like, so I really do think that you can be successful. Like I truly believe that.
No, I mean, I do think that too, but it's just like it feels so far.
Yeah.
And and before it was so close.
Yeah.
It was just,
Yeah, I can't even imagine that kind of like you had it kind of thing, like feeling like you just like let this thing go. But at the end of the day, like I even said earlier, is like you gotta just learn to let that stuff go, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like those feelings of like anger or like frustration of like even like as simple as I shouldn't have eaten that meal. Like you just gotta let it go, and just be like, it is what it is, instead of like beating yourself up with that. But then obviously even the bigger stuff, right? Like,
yeah, that's the thing is like me and Tony talked about this before, but it's like there's a give and take to like the whole beating yourself up things, because like I feel like at one point like I got to the point where I was like, oh, like I'm good, like
Yeah.
I want to change, but I'm good where I am, and then like you kind of accept then like where you're at. So like if you don't beat yourself up, that's a good thing, because you shouldn't do that. But then if you don't, there's no real reason to change. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just kind of are like, oh well.
I think there's a difference between beating yourself up and then accepting reality.
No, I know, but like what I'm saying though is like I think those, like you can be like, you can kind of go too far one way. It's hard to find that balance of like, okay, I want to be okay on myself, but I also want to be like, I want to change. It's hard.
I think I agree. I think one thing that helps me when because I struggle with my mental health and like I have bad days. And when I'm having those bad days, I do a lot of I am statements. Like I notice that I'm like, I am a failure. I am a loser. I am, instead
all those things are true, but
yeah, it is true. But like, instead of, okay, that didn't work out, right? Say maybe I failed at a video or it didn't go well. Okay. Like, yeah, that was, okay, don't do that again. You know what I mean? Like if a video does terrible, it's like, clearly that's not the one that I should put out again, Instead of telling myself, you're a failure, bro. Why are you even trying? Like I feel like there's a fine line of beating yourself up versus being realistic and being honest. Like, hey, that didn't work, so don't do it again. And like,
yeah.
But I understand exactly where you're.
Yeah, I've tried recently to find a balance between like that, and part of me has started like read books and stuff about just like discipline,
because I definitely lack discipline in not just like my nutrition, but in a lot of areas of my life. Like I have enough to like keep myself going and do a good job of stuff, but yeah, I let a lot of stuff slip, not because of anything really, but just like lack of discipline, it's laziness, you know? That definitely does carry over a bit. And so one of the things, like, you know, I've read like Goggins' book. I'm starting to read it anyways. And then like I bought this like thing from Jocko Willink, or whatever his name is. And he has this like saying where it's like good. It's like good end.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh dude, like all this thing, like bad things happen. He's like, good end. Instead of like, oh no, like, you know, because it's like, it's done now. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And it's for him, it's like a thing like that challenges you to then like what next, you know. So it's like I try to look at stuff like that, like, okay, good end. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, what's next?
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's a very, very, very important skill to have, is learning to not dwell on things, like accepting what happened and trying to learn from that, but not dwelling on it and being like, I am a failure because I failed. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, because we all fail in certain things. It is what it is. Yeah. But like, you're only truly a failure when you completely give it up, which you haven't, right? And so.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly think it's not something that like it really gets to me. It's more of the frustration.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like.
I get that.
Yeah, it's just it's.
Why can't I just do it?
Yeah, it's become more and more frustrating as time's gone on, and so that frustration then leads to me to be like getting anxiety, because when I get frustrated, I get anxious, because it's like the thought of the unknown and whatnot, and then like when I get anxious, then it's like I need a dopamine hit. So it's like, what's needs a dopamine hit? Food. You know, that's definitely something Another thing I've focused on is just trying to manage my like dopamine. Like, I know I have ADD, so I know that's going to impact like the way my mind works and what I crave and what I go for, and I know food is interacting with that, right? But it's hard to find like healthy ways of
wouldn't it be so nice
hitting
if, like,
dopamine. You just take a little dopamine pill?
No. I was gonna say, wouldn't it be
they're
so
out there.
nice if you could get the same amount of dopamine from being like proud of yourself for eating a quote unquote healthy thing than you do
sweet, dude.
of like eating something that maybe not isn't the best.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be so nice. It'd be so nice. It'd be so much easier.
Yeah. And some people were like, oh, you can get dopamine hit from going for a run. I'm like, not me, dog.
Yeah. I mean,
not when you're in pain.
Yeah, that's, again, it's like, a lot of times, like, the advice people will give is, it's obviously well-meaning, but it's so off the mark. Yeah. It's like, you clearly have never...
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand, truly.
Yeah.
Like...
and I try my best to understand. Like, I'm not even saying that I completely get it. Because it's been a long time.
So far from it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But I try to learn and like listen. You know, like especially this past few years. Like, I think there was a time where I would have been like, you just got to be more disciplined. You just got to push through. You know, you're just not trying hard enough. But like while maybe that's true in the fact of like, if you just push through, yes, you would be successful. But like, there's so much more at play to it than just that. You know. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think this is good. We've been talking for over an hour now.
Yeah, dude.
So
I got real. Sorry if I bitched for an hour. But like I said, I'm just giving my reality. Like, it's not, you know, I want to change. I'm gonna keep at it. But this is just the reality of what, you know,
I think
look like. And
I think conversations like this.
I assume there's gonna be people watching this that are like, damn, like, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yep.
And you just got to know that, like, we just got to keep fighting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think conversations like this are important. I think, you know, you hear a lot of like success stories, which are great, but you know, there's a lot of struggle that goes into them. You know.
Yeah.
So. There we go. Thanks, bro.
No problem.